What's the hardest part about being a stand-up comedian? My best friend Armando and I started doing stand-up comedy together, and I got famous and he didn't. I spent weeks writing jokes about everyday stuff like grocery shopping and dating apps. Armando would show up 5 minutes before our sets with nothing prepared. At first, his improvised roasts were kind of funny. He'd point out how I adjusted the mic stand 3 times before talking, or how I cleared my throat between jokes. The audience would laugh, and I'd laugh too because we were friends. But then it got meaner. He'd spend his entire 5-minute set just trashing me, making fun of my day job at Target, mocking how I lived with my parents, calling me virgin even though he knew about my ex-girlfriend. The worst part was how the crowd ate it up. People love watching someone get destroyed on stage. Armando would high-five strangers after his sets while I stood there feeling 2 feet tall. When I confronted him in the parking lot, he'd always say the same thing. Relax, bro. It's just comedy. If you can't handle getting roasted, maybe you're too sensitive for this. I kept going back every week because I actually wanted to get better. I'd practice in front of my bathroom mirror and time my pauses. I studied famous comedians and learned about callbacks and rule of 3. Armando just kept showing up empty-handed and making me his entire act. One night I killed with a bit about my mom discovering Netflix. People were actually laughing at my real jokes. Then Armando went up and spent 10 minutes talking about how I still ask my mom for permission to stay out late. He made up this whole story about me calling her during a date. The crowd was dying, but I felt like throwing up. A comedy blogger was there that night and wrote a review calling Armando savage and fearless, while describing me as Armando's unfortunate opening act. Things escalated when we got booked for a bigger show at an actual comedy club downtown. I worked on my set for 3 weeks straight. I had transitions and callbacks and even bought a new shirt. Armando texted me the day before asking what I was planning to talk about. Just working on some new material about food delivery drivers, I told him. That night I went first and got decent laughs. Nothing special, but people were engaged and nodding along. Then Armando got on stage and his first words were, "Give it up for my best friend, everyone. Did you know he practiced that delivery driver joke on his mom 50 times? She told me at dinner last week." The audience laughed. He continued for 15 minutes straight. Every single joke was about me. How I wrote my sets on index cards like a middle school presentation. How I wore the same outfit to every show. How I got nervous and did this weird thing with my hands. He even did an impression of me that made me look mentally challenged. But then something interesting happened. About 10 minutes in, the laughs started dying down. People shifted in their seats. A few checked their phones. By the end, Armando was practically yelling his punchlines to a silent room. He left the stage confused and angry. The club owner pulled me aside after. "Your friend's got one trick and it's getting old. You actually have potential though. Want to do our Thursday night showcase?" I said yes immediately. When Armando found out he lost it. "You're doing shows without me? We're a team." "No, I'm your material. There's a difference." I started doing solo shows around the city. Without Armando there to tear me down, my confidence grew. I experimented with voices and physical comedy. I made friends with other comedians who actually gave constructive feedback. My sets got tighter and funnier. 6 months later, I was featuring at clubs and getting paid actual money. Armando kept going to our usual bar every week, but without me there, he had nothing to talk about. He tried roasting audience members but came off as mean. He attempted real jokes but had no idea how to write a setup or punchline. His 5-minute sets shrunk to 3 minutes of painful silence and desperate crowd work. I ran into him at a coffee shop last month. He looked tired and bitter. "Must be nice being too good for your friends now," he said. "I was never your friend. I was your crutch." He tried to laugh it off, but I could see it hit him. For the first time, he realized that his biggest talent was being a bully. Without someone to tear down, he was just a guy with nothing to say. I headlined my first show last weekend. 90 minutes of material I wrote myself. The crowd gave me a standing ovation. Armando was there in the back trying to get on stage during the open mic portion. They told his the list was full.